All right, let's dive straight into the fascinating world of AI and video today. We've got some really interesting source material zeroing in on something that feels, well, pretty next level.
Yeah, we're looking at Google DeepMind's latest AI model for generating video.
Specifically, it's called Veo, right?
Right.
And we're focusing on what the sources tell us about it.
That's right, Veo, and the latest details seem to be around Veo 3.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear.
Yeah.
Let's unpack what Veo actually is, what it can supposedly do based on these capabilities described.
And crucially, why you, listening right now, especially if you're interested in creativity or just where AI is heading, should probably pay attention.
Exactly, because the core idea here is, well, it's powerful.
Absolutely. Imagine just typing out a description, a scene, maybe something fantastical, a specific action, and the AI generates realistic video.
And not just video, but sometimes audio too, right? That matches.
Yeah, potentially even synchronized audio, all from your text. That's the big promise here.
Okay, let's get into these sources then. What do they actually say Veo is?
So fundamentally, they describe it as Google DeepMind's state-of-the-art video generation model. Veo 3 is the latest one they're discussing.
And is there a stated goal behind it, or just
Yeah.
generate video?
Oh, yeah. They frame it around empowering creators, filmmakers, storytellers. The aims seem to be pushing for, much greater realism.
Okay, the rate was
Better prompt adherence, meaning the AI actually understands and follows your instructions more accurately.
that sounds important.
Definitely. And giving creators more fine-grained creative control than before.
Right, that idea of bringing prompts to life seems key. So what are the specific improvements in Veo 3 that jump out from the material?
Well, first off, the sheer quality. They mentioned generating video at a 4K resolution,
4K? Wow.
which is a big step up for realism.
Mhm.
And they also specifically call out improved handling of, real-world physics within the scenes.
So things move and interact more believably.
That's the idea. And you mentioned prompt adherence.
Mm.
That's a major focus. For a creator, that just translates to the AI doing what you actually asked for.
Not just something kind of close, but what you described. That has to be a game changer.
It really is. But okay, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Veo 3 apparently introduces native audio generation.
Native audio.
Meaning
native.
it's not just slapping on a background track later. The model itself can generate sound effects, ambient noise, even, get this, dialogue alongside the video.
Wait, hang on. Dialogue. So if I write dialogue in my prompt,
The AI aims to generate the character saying those lines, synchronized with the video. That's exactly what the sources suggest is possible with this native audio feature. Visuals and sound generated together.
okay, that is a massive leap. We need to look at the examples they give. They really illustrate this, right?
Absolutely. Like
Yeah.
the first one. Medium shot, old sailor, knitted hat, gray beard, gesturing with his pipe towards a churning sea.
And the prompt includes dialogue for him. This ocean, it's a force, and so on.
Right, so the AI's job isn't just the visual, it's generating that specific speech, sounding like the sailor, timed right. That's complex. It needs visual and linguistic understanding.
That's incredible. And there's another one, isn't there? An owl and a badger.
Uh-huh. Wise old owl, nervous badger, moonlit path. The prompt gives dialogue for both characters.
And specifies sounds too.
Yeah, owl hoots, badger chitters, leaves rustling, crickets, even hints of an orchestral score. It shows the complexity it's trying to juggle multiple specific audio layers, including distinct voices plus the visuals.
Then there's that really dynamic one, the off-road rally scene.
Oh yeah, dramatic, messy. Prompt asks for a dynamic, shaky camera, muddy forest, modified vehicles.
And specific sounds. Engine roar, whining transmissions, mud spraying. It even describes a sequence, right? Buggy hits water, huge mud spray, then a truck goes through it.
Exactly. That one shows it interpreting abstract stuff like camera style, complex physics like the mud spray, action sequences, and layered soundscapes. It's not just a moving picture, it's simulating a whole chaotic event.
They also have more narrative examples, like a cartographer finding an island.
Yep, historical adventure, cartographer dialogue, lost island on a map, or spies exchanging microfilm, whispered dialogue, train station sounds, more story-focused prompts.
And some funny ones, too, I saw. A rubber duck detective.
Huh,
Yeah.
yeah. Detective interrogating a nervous rubber duck. The prompt apparently specifies stern quacks and nervous squeaks.
He quacks. Okay, that's
That's-
imaginative. And a camper and a bear.
Uh-huh, stop motion style, camper, and bear, with dialogue that's deliberately off, like the bear saying, nature would prefer some personal space.
That ability to generate specific, even abstract sounds like stern quacks or nervous squeaks. That really highlights its potential.
It does. And they also have examples focusing purely on visuals and specific sounds, like an iridescent moon dust plane with crystalline flowers.
Or a classical violinist playing intensely, specifying the bright sound and acoustics.
And even something simple but visceral, diced onions hitting a hot pan with that distinct sizzle.
So it covers a huge range, from photorealism to fantasy, complex stories, to simple sensory details.
And it shows it can follow sequences. There's one about a feather lifted by wind, dancing over rooftops caught in a web. That's like a mini story from text.
Or the robotic bee zooming in a future city, or a paper boat in a gutter. It has to understand that progression, the movement over time.
Yeah, based purely on the description.
Okay, so text to video, even with audio, is getting seriously powerful. But creators often need more direct control than just writing a description, right?
Exactly. And the sources talk about that too. Additional creative controls, some mentioned under new capabilities for VO2, that go beyond just the text prompt.
Like what kinds of controls?
Well, one is reference-powered video. Sound like you can give it input images, a specific scene, a character, an object.
And it uses that visual reference when generating the video.
Precisely. Anchors the output. Then there's match your style. You give it a style image, maybe a painting, a film still.
And it tries to make the video look like that.
Yeah, render the video in that specific aesthetic. The origami examples they mention for this are pretty stunning.
Origami, like paper folding.
Exactly. They show video generated in this complex, angular origami style, a whole street scene, kids playing, a bus, all looking like moving paper sculptures.
Wow, so it's not just a filter, it's generating the content in that style, including motion.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Really shows the potential for artistic style transfer. And then, super important for stories, keep your characters consistent.
Ah, yes. So the same character looks the same in different shots.
Right. You give it reference images of your character, and the model tries to maintain their appearance across different generated scenes.
The cute monster example they showed illustrates that perfectly, right?
Yeah.
Same little guy, walking, dancing, swimming, even in a candy land.
Yeah, same character, different actions and environments. That solves a massive headache for anyone trying to build a narrative.
Definitely. What else? Camera controls.
Specific camera controls. Tell it to move back, zoom in, move up, pan right. Essential for visual storytelling, how you frame and move the camera is key.
Makes sense. And first and last frame. What's that for?
That sounds like bridging gaps. You give it a starting image and an ending image, and it generates the video transition between them.
Like the example of a marble turning into a griffin statue.
Exactly. Good for integrating AI shots or creating loops. They also mention outpainting, expanding the video frame outwards while keeping it realistic. Useful for different aspect ratios.
And adding or removing objects? That sounds tricky.
Yeah, add object, remove object. Like seamlessly adding a man with a torch or taking out a spaceship. The sources say VO considers scale, lighting, shadows to make it look right.
Almost like magic editing.
Kind of feels that way.
Yeah.
They also touch on character controls, using maybe your own body or face movements from a video to drive a character in the generated output.
Like motion capture, but simpler. They mentioned an animated baby chick.
Yeah, apparently talking expressively, maybe driven by someone's voice input. And finally, Motion Master sounds like defining a precise path for an object to follow in the scene.
Okay, so it's really moving beyond just describe and hope towards much more explicit granular control for the creator.
That seems to be the direction, yeah, giving users more levers to pull.
And are people actually using this yet? The sources mentioned some collaborations.
They do. Promise, which is a Gen AI movie studio, is apparently exploring it for their production workflow scripts, storyboards, that kind of thing.
Interesting. Anyone else?
Volley, they work on conversational AI experiences. They're prototyping using VO for visuals in games, like having AI act as hosts or characters in a dungeon crawler.
Okay, so practical applications are already being tested.
And Fel.ai is integrating it so developers can combine VO with other generative tools.
And for listeners who are curious to maybe try this themselves, is it accessible?
The sources say yes. You can try VO through platforms like Flow within Gemini, and also via Google AI Studio and Vertex AI Studio, so it's starting to roll out.
Right. Now, capabilities are one thing, but how does it actually perform? And what are the acknowledged limitations?
Performance-wise, they make a pretty bold claim. State-of-the-art results in human evaluations against other top video models.
So people prefer its output.
That's the claim. But they're also quite open about areas that still need work.
Such as?
The audio generation, specifically spoken dialogue, they mentioned that getting natural, consistently synced speech, especially for shorter bits, is still a challenge.
Ah, so the native dialogue generation is promising, but maybe not perfect yet.
Seems that way. They're working on refining the sync and cutting down on incoherent speech instances. It's an active development area.
Makes sense. And with any AI this powerful, especially generating realistic media, the safety and responsibility aspect is huge. Did the sources cover that?
They did, yeah. Framed it as something built into the whole process.
How so? What measures are they taking?
They talk about things like blocking harmful requests or results and really testing how new features might impact safety before they're released.
So proactive safety testing.
Uh-huh. And having internal teams plus external experts trying to find and fix potential problems during development.
Any specific tech mentioned for safety?
Yes, they highlight Scented. That's their system for watermarking AI content and also detecting it.
The watermarking is crucial.
Absolutely. Plus, standard safety evaluations, checks for memorized data to avoid privacy or copyright issues, and trying to reduce bias.
And that watermarking using Syntheti is especially important when the output can look so real, right?
Right.
Being able to tell AI generated from human-made.
It becomes critical for transparency, for trust, for dealing with potential misuse. It's a necessary piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so let's pull all this together. We've unpacked Veo, its capabilities, the controls, the limitations. What's the bigger picture here? What does this deep dive mean for you, the listener?
Well, stepping back, I think Veo clearly represents a really significant step forward in creative tooling. It potentially lowers the barrier, maybe dramatically, for creating complex, high-quality video, stuff that used to need lots of specialized skills, expensive gear.
Might become accessible with just a good description and maybe some reference images.
That's the potential. And it just shows how fast AI is moving. From static images just a short while ago to now generating dynamic, fairly realistic video that understands physics, motion, complex instructions, and even generates sound and dialogue alongside it.
The pace of development in text-to-video is just, well, staggering.
It really is. So, wrapping up this deep dive, we've looked at Google DeepMind's Veo. It's positioned as a leading AI video model. Key takeaways are the impressive realism, the improved prompt following, those extensive creative controls we talked about.
And that really interesting native audio generation capability, even dialogue.
Exactly, though acknowledging there are still areas being refined, like getting that spoken audio consistently right.
The speed at which these features are coming together. Complex scenes, characters, camera moves, dialogue, all from text is really something.
And it leaves us with a pretty provocative thought for you to mull over. As these AI tools, like Veo, get better and better at generating highly realistic, controllable video and audio from just descriptions.
What does that actually do to traditional creative fields? How does it change what it means to be a creator?
And maybe even more fundamentally, how do we navigate a world where telling the difference between human-created media and AI-generated media gets increasingly difficult?
Lots to think about there. It's definitely a space that's evolving incredibly quickly. We'd encourage you to keep exploring, keep learning about these developments.
Absolutely.
That's all for this deep dive.